The massive meeting room of the United Galactic Coalition fell silent as Commander Tark walked to the center platform. His tall, blue-skinned form moved with purpose, 4 eyes scanning the gathered alien leaders. The weekly security meeting rarely brought news worthy of attention, but today was different. "Esteemed members of the Coalition," Tark began, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into standard galactic speech. "Our border patrol has found something amusing." He waved his upper limb, and a hologram appeared above the center table. It showed a ship, if one could call it that. It looked old and damaged, with parts that seemed to be patched together. Next to the sleek, curved ships of the Coalition, it looked like a child's toy. "This vessel drifted into Coalition space 3 cycles ago," Tark continued. "Our scans show it is of human origin." A wave of laughter spread through the room. Humans were known across the galaxy as newcomers, barely able to reach their own moon when the Coalition was already traveling between star systems. "It appears to be powered down, possibly abandoned," Tark added. "I propose we send a team to claim any useful materials and add this to our Museum of Primitive Technologies." At the far end of the table, military advisor Wren stood up. Unlike the others, she did not laugh. Her species, with their rock-like skin and 6 eyes, were known for their caution. "Commander, I suggest we approach with care," Wren said. "Our deep scans show unusual energy patterns." Tark waved dismissively. Advisor Wren always sees danger where there is none. What could humans possibly create that would threaten us? Their most advanced ships take 50 years to reach what our slowest vessels do in months. More laughter filled the room. The Coalition had ruled this part of the galaxy for over 300 years. They had faced and defeated real threats: the hive minds of the Outer Rim, the living clouds of the Central Systems. Humans were just another young species they would eventually guide and control. "I have already sent a boarding team," Tark announced. "They should be entering the ship now." The Coalition boarding ship attached itself to the hull of the human vessel with a metallic clunk. The team of 6 specialized soldiers prepared their equipment, checking their atmosphere suits one last time. "Remember, this is a salvage mission," said Team Leader Mox. "Look for any technology we can use and gather data on human engineering." The team nodded. They had done this many times before with abandoned ships. This would be easy work. When they cut through the airlock, they were surprised to find the air inside was still breathable, though cold. The lights were dim, running on emergency power only. The corridors were narrow compared to Coalition ships made for the smaller human forms. "Primitive design," said tech specialist Drell, running his scanner over the walls. "They still use physical buttons and switches." The team moved deeper into the ship, their lights casting long shadows. They found no bodies, no signs of a fight or emergency that would explain why the ship was drifting. "The ship's name is Defiance," said Drell, translating the human writing on a wall panel. "Based on the design, it's at least 70 years old by human counting." They reached what appeared to be the ship's control center. Compared to the clean, mind-linked controls of Coalition vessels, it looked like a maze of buttons, levers, and screens. "Start downloading their data," Mox ordered. "Let's see what they were doing out here." Drell connected to the main computer. As his device began to interface with the human system, something unexpected happened. The ship's lights suddenly brightened and a low hum began to build around them. "What did you do?" Mox demanded. "Nothing unusual," Drell replied, checking his equipment. "I just—" A voice spoke from all around them, speaking in the human language that their translators struggled to keep up with. "Emergency protocols activated. Unknown presence detected. Initiating security response." The team looked at each other in confusion. Before they could react, metal shutters slammed down over the exits, trapping them in the control room. "Break through it," Mox ordered. But as 2 soldiers rushed to the door, a gas began to pour from vents in the ceiling. "Sleeping gas," Drell warned as his scanner analyzed it. "Non-lethal, but—" One by one they dropped to the floor. Deep in the heart of the ship, in a chamber the boarding team never reached, rows of cryopods lined the walls. In one of them, ice crystals melted away from the viewing window, revealing the face of a human man. His eyes opened slowly as the pod's systems brought him back to consciousness. The ship's AI spoke. "Captain Jack, emergency awakening protocol initiated. Unknown entities have boarded the ship." Jack's pod opened with a hiss of escaping air. He sat up slowly, his body still remembering how to move after years of sleep. He was not young anymore. His hair was gray, his face lined with scars and wrinkles, but his eyes were sharp and alert. "How many?" he asked, his voice rough from disuse. "6 boarders currently contained," the AI replied. "Their technology suggests coalition origin." Jack nodded. He had expected this day might come. "Wake the others. Tell them we have company." Across the chamber, 5 more pods began their awakening sequence. Back in the coalition meeting hall, Commander Tark was becoming concerned. The boarding team had not reported in for over an hour. "Their life signs are stable," a technician reported, "but they appear to be unconscious." Military Advisor Wren stepped forward again. "Commander, our sensors are detecting increased power levels from the human ship. It appears to be waking up." The hologram over the table changed, showing new data. The once dormant ship was now glowing with energy readings. "Impossible," Tark said. "Our scans showed minimal power." "It appears the ship has hidden capabilities," Wren replied. "I suggest we—" She was interrupted as new information flashed across the display. The human ship's engines were powering up. Weapon systems, previously undetected, were coming online. "Send in a combat team," Tark ordered. "Disable that vessel." Before, the communication system crackled to life and a human voice filled the room. It spoke in perfect coalition standard language, surprising everyone present. "This is Captain Jack of the Earth ship Defiance. Your boarding party is unharmed but will remain in our custody. Any hostile action against this vessel will be met with immediate response. We request to speak with your leaders." The alien leaders looked at each other in shock and confusion. What they had dismissed as an ancient, harmless relic was now making demands, and somehow it had the power to back them up. Commander Tark's 4 eyes narrowed as he realized his mistake. The human ship wasn't a museum piece after all. The meeting room that had been filled with laughter now fell into worried silence. Captain Jack stood in the cryo chamber, watching as his crew slowly came back to life. His muscles ached from the long sleep, but years of military training kept him focused. He checked each pod as it opened, helping his people stand on shaky legs. "Status report," he ordered, his voice growing stronger with each word. The ship's AI responded immediately. "Captain, we have been adrift for approximately 27 Earth years. 6 alien intruders are contained in the command center. Their technology matches coalition signatures." Jack nodded. The coalition, humanity's greatest concern when they had begun this mission. Back then, Earth had just made first contact with alien life and the news wasn't good. The vast coalition saw humans as backward primitives barely worth acknowledging. "Wake up, people," Jack called to his crew. "Seems our long sleep is over." Medical Officer Lisa was the first to fully recover, instantly checking the vital signs of the others. Her gray-streaked hair was pulled back in a tight bun, her movements efficient despite the years of inactivity. "Everyone's readings look stable," she reported. The cryo-sleep worked perfectly. Next came Chief Engineer Tom, a stocky man with a thick beard now streaked with white. He immediately moved to a nearby console, his fingers flying over the controls. "Ship systems at 87% capacity," he announced. "Not bad for being asleep this long." Security Officer Max and Communications Specialist Anna recovered next, followed by Science Officer Ben. Within minutes, the team of 6 was fully awake and gathering around the central holographic display in the cryo chamber. "Here's what we know," Jack said, pointing to the display showing the coalition vessel attached to their ship. "While we slept, the Defiance drifted into coalition space. They sent a boarding party thinking we were abandoned or dead. Typical coalition arrogance," Max growled, checking his weapon. "They always underestimate us." Jack nodded. "That works in our favor. Our ship's stealth systems kept most of our technology hidden until they triggered the security protocols. What's our plan, Captain? Anna asked, already working on her communication console. First, we need to understand the current situation, Jack replied. It's been 27 years. The political landscape could be completely different. Ben adjusted his glasses, studying the scans of the Coalition ship. Their technology has advanced, but the basic design is the same. They still rely on quantum, fusion drives, and particle shielding. Can we break away if needed? Jack asked Tom. The engineer nodded. The Defiance may look old to them, but our systems are still decades ahead of what Earth had when we left. We can outrun them if necessary. Jack turned to Anna. Open a channel to their leadership. Let's see how diplomatic they're feeling today. Commander Tark paced nervously in the Coalition meeting room. The holographic display showed the human ship was now fully powered, revealing weapon systems that had somehow remained hidden during their initial scans. This is impossible, he muttered, his four eyes blinking rapidly in distress. That vessel is ancient by all accounts. Military advisor Wren stood calmly at the table. I warned you, Commander. Our intelligence on humans has always been incomplete. The wing communication system activated again. The human captain's face appeared on the main screen. He looked aged, with lines etching his face and gray hair cut short in a military style, but his eyes showed sharp intelligence. I am Captain Jack of the Earth Defense Force ship Defiance, he stated. We did not enter your territory by choice. Our ship was on a long-term mission when we encountered an anomaly that damaged our navigation systems. Tark straightened his uniform, trying to appear confident. I am Commander Tark of the United Galactic Coalition. Your crew attacked our boarding party without provocation. Jack's expression remained neutral. Your boarding party entered our ship without permission. Our automated defense systems responded as programmed. Your people are unharmed, and will remain that way if you cooperate. What do you want, human? Tark demanded. Information, Jack replied simply. We've been in cryo-sleep for nearly 3 decades. We need to know the current state of relations between Earth and the Coalition. Tark glanced at his advisors, uncertain how to respond. This was not the primitive, begging human he had expected. Wren stepped forward. Captain Jack, relations between our peoples remain distant. The Coalition recognizes Earth's sovereignty within its home system, but humans are not members of our alliance. Jack nodded. And what is the Coalition's policy on independent vessels? Like ours? Tark hesitated. We require all ships in Coalition space to submit to inspection and registration. That won't be happening, Jack said firmly. The Defiance carries classified technology. No one boards without my permission. The tension in the meeting room rose. Several Coalition officials began whispering urgently to each other. Then you are in violation of our laws, Tark declared, finding his courage again. Surrender your vessel or face the consequences. Jack smiled slightly. I don't think you understand your position, Commander. Scan our ship again. This time, look closely at our power signature. Tark nodded to a technician who ran the scan. As the results appeared on the screen, gasps echoed around the room. Impossible, the technician whispered. Their power levels are off the charts. And that energy pattern, it's like nothing in our database. Jack's face remained on the screen, waiting patiently as the Coalition leaders absorbed this new information. What are you? Tark finally asked, his earlier confidence completely gone. We are humanity's insurance policy, Jack replied. When Earth first encountered the Coalition, they recognized the threat of a technologically superior civilization. While our diplomats talked peace, scientists like us explored alternative options. Science Officer Ben appeared next to Jack on the screen. Your scanning technology can't properly read our power systems because they operate on principles your science hasn't discovered yet. What looks like an outdated ship to you is actually a prototype for Earth's next generation of defense vessels. This was partially true. The Defiance was indeed a prototype. But when it had left Earth, it had been the only one of its kind. A desperate gamble by a humanity facing a hostile universe. We don't seek conflict, Jack continued, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. Now, about your boarding party. Tark swallowed hard. What do you propose? A simple exchange. You detach your vessel from ours and move to a safe distance. We release your people and continue on our way. And if we refuse? Tark asked, though he already knew the answer. Jack's expression hardened. Then we demonstrate why the Defiance was considered too dangerous to keep on Earth. The meeting room fell silent as the coalition leaders faced a decision they never expected to make. Back down to a supposedly primitive species, or risk facing technology they didn't understand. Military advisor Wren finally broke the silence. Commander, I suggest we accept their terms. We can always track them once our people are safe. Tark nodded slowly, his pride wounded, but his survival instinct stronger. Very well, Captain Jack. We agree to your terms. Detach from the human vessel, he ordered his crew. As the coalition ship began to pull away, Jack turned to his crew off-screen. Get ready. The moment their people are off our ship, we need to move. They'll be back with reinforcements. Tom nodded. Engines are hot. Captain, just say the word. What had begun as a simple salvage mission had now turned into a first-class security crisis for the mighty coalition. And deep in coalition space, an ancient human ship prepared to show that appearances could be very deceiving indeed. The coalition vessel pulled away from the Defiance, creating a gap that widened slowly in the vacuum of space. On the bridge of the human ship, Captain Jack watched through the main view screen as the alien craft retreated to what they considered a safe distance. Enemy ship is 500 kilometers away and holding position, Max reported from the security station. They're scanning us continuously. Jack nodded. As expected. Anna, prepare to release their boarding party. Communications specialist. Anna tapped at her console. Escape pod is ready, Captain. Their 6 crew members are still sedated but will wake up shortly after launch. Tom, what's our status? Jack turned to his engineer. Tom looked up from his station, his face grim. Not good, Captain. That anomaly did more damage than we thought. The jump drive is operational, but we can only make one jump before needing serious repairs. And our conventional engines? Working at 87% capacity. Fast enough to outrun that ship, but not a fleet. Jack considered their options. The Defiance was designed for stealth and quick strikes, not prolonged battles. If the coalition decided to bring in reinforcements, they would be outmatched. Ben, what have you learned from their computers? Science Officer Ben adjusted his glasses, scrolling through data on his screen. Quite a lot, actually. Their boarding party's equipment contained standard coalition protocols. I've managed to access some of their communication networks. Jack raised an eyebrow. That was fast. Ben smiled slightly. They still use the same encryption methods they did 27 years ago. Just more complex versions. Nothing our systems can't handle. And what have you found? Ben's smile faded. It's not good, Captain. The coalition has expanded significantly since we left Earth. They now control most of this sector, and their attitude toward humans hasn't improved. He pulled up a star map on the main screen, showing coalition territory highlighted in blue. It had nearly doubled in size since their mission began. Earth? Jack asked quietly. Still independent, but isolated. The coalition has established outposts in neighboring systems, effectively surrounding our home world. The bridge fell silent as the crew absorbed this information. Their mission? To test the Defiance's experimental technologies far from coalition, sensors, had been meant to last 5 years. But the anomaly had damaged their systems and sent them into an unplanned cryosleep that lasted nearly 3 decades. We need to get this ship home, Jack said firmly. Earth needs to know what we've learned. Captain, Anna interrupted. I'm receiving a transmission from the coalition vessel. On screen, Jack ordered. Commander Tark's blue face appeared. His 4 eyes narrowed with suspicion. Captain Jack, our sensors have detected unusual energy readings from your vessel. What exactly is the Defiance? Jack smiled thinly. Just an old Earth ship, Commander. Nothing for you to worry about. Our scientists disagree, Tark responded. They believe your ship contains technology far beyond what Earth has publicly demonstrated. Perhaps your intelligence on Earth is outdated, Jack suggested. Tark's upper eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of agitation in his species. Release our boarding party immediately, or we will take action. Jack nodded to Anna, who pressed a button on her console. The escape pod has been launched, Commander. Your people are safe and will wake up shortly. Now we'll be on our way. You are not permitted to leave, Tark declared. A Coalition science vessel is en route to study your ship. You will remain here until... Jack cut the transmission with a wave of his hand. Tom, get us moving. Maximum conventional speed. Aye, Captain. The Defiance's engines glowed brighter, and the ship began to accelerate away from the Coalition vessel. On the Coalition ship, Commander Tark watched in disbelief as the human vessel rapidly gained speed. Impossible, he muttered. Their engines shouldn't be capable of such acceleration. Military Advisor Wren stood beside him, her rock-like face unreadable. Commander, I believe we have gravely underestimated the humans. Pursue them, Tark ordered. They cannot be allowed to escape with technology that could threaten the Coalition. As the Coalition ship gave chase, Science Officer Keth approached with a data pad. Commander, I've analyzed the readings from the human ship. You need to see this. Tark glanced at the pad and froze. This cannot be correct. We've confirmed it 3 times, Keth insisted. Their power signature matches theoretical models for contained singularity technology. Black hole power? Tark's voice rose in pitch. That's impossible. Such technology is purely theoretical. Apparently not for humans, Wren observed dryly. Tark's mind raced. If humans had mastered singularity containment, they possessed an energy source that dwarfed anything the Coalition had developed. Such technology could power weapons capable of destroying entire fleets. Send a priority message to Coalition Command, he ordered. Inform them we have encountered a human vessel with Class 10 restricted technology. Request immediate reinforcements. Back. On the Defiance, Ben monitored the Coalition communications. Captain, they're calling for backup. At least 3 warships are changing course to intercept us. Jack frowned. How long before they arrive? 2 hours at most. And how long until we reach the jump point? Tom checked his calculations. 3 hours minimum. We can't outrun them all, Captain. Jack stood and walked to the center of the bridge. His crew watched him, waiting for a decision. They had trained for this possibility, being discovered by a superior Coalition force, but the plan had always assumed they would have a fully functional ship. It's time to show them what this old ship can really do, Jack said finally. Lisa, prepare the medical bay for potential casualties. Max, bring all defensive systems online. Tom, divert power from non-essential systems to the shields. Ben, continue monitoring their communications. Anna, prepare a message buoy with all our data. Set to launch automatically if things go badly. You think we might have to fight our way out? Lisa said. It wasn't a question. Jack nodded grimly. The Defiance was built for one purpose: to test. Technology's too dangerous to use except in the most extreme circumstances. I think this qualifies. He turned to a sealed console at the center of the bridge, one that had remained untouched since they left Earth. It required the captain's handprint and a 6-digit code to unlock. Sir, Max said hesitantly, are you sure? Once we activate those systems, there's no going back. The Coalition will never believe we're just a lost ship. They already don't believe it, Jack replied, placing his hand on the scanner. And I intend to get this crew home. The console hummed to life as it recognized his handprint. Jack entered the code and the top slid open to reveal a glowing blue crystal embedded in a complex apparatus. Quantum reality manipulation drive online, the ship's AI announced. Caution. Use of this technology may have unpredictable effects on surrounding spacetime. On the Coalition ship, alarms suddenly blared as their sensors detected a massive energy spike from the Defiance. What are they doing? Tark demanded. Science Officer Keth stared at his readings in disbelief. Commander, they're warping reality around their ship. I've never seen anything like it. Military Advisor Wren's normally stoic expression gave way to visible concern. "Commander, I strongly recommend we withdraw to a safe distance immediately." Tark hesitated, torn between fear and duty. "We cannot show weakness before a primitive species." "With respect, Commander," Wren said firmly, "that ship is anything but primitive, and if we don't retreat now, we may not get another chance." As they argued, the space around the Defiance began to shimmer and distort, like heat waves rising from hot ground. The human ship, once dismissed as an ancient relic, now glowed with power that defied Coalition understanding. The chase was about to become much more interesting. Space itself seemed to bend around the Defiance as the quantum reality manipulation drive engaged. Brilliant blue energy pulsed along the hull, creating a shimmering bubble that distorted the stars behind it. On the bridge, Captain Jack gripped his command chair as the ship trembled. "Status report." Tom hunched over his console, his fingers flying across controls. "Quantum drive operating at 63% capacity. It's stabilizing, but we're pushing old systems hard." Through the main view screen, they watched as their pursuer grew smaller. The Coalition ship hadn't changed course. Rather, space itself was stretching between them, creating distance where none had existed before. "It's working," Ben called out, adjusting his glasses as he studied the readings. "We're not moving faster. We're compressing space-time behind us and expanding it ahead, effectively creating our own pocket of altered physics." Jack nodded grimly. "Just as the designers intended. How long can we maintain this?" "At this power level? 2 hours maximum before we risk core instability," Tom replied. "The system wasn't meant to run this long without maintenance." "Coalition communications update," Anna reported. "Their reinforcements are adjusting course to intercept our new trajectory. 3 warships heavily armed." Jack turned to Max. "What are our offensive options?" The security officer's face was lit by the red glow of his tactical display. "Main particle cannons are online. Reality shear torpedoes armed but untested. And," he hesitated, "the Singularity Lance is operational." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. The Singularity Lance was the Defiance's ultimate weapon, a focused beam that could temporarily create a microscopic black hole inside an enemy ship. It had never been used outside of simulations. "Let's hope we don't need to test that," Jack said quietly. "Our mission is to return home with our data, not start a war." "Captain," Ben interrupted, "the Coalition vessels are launching fighter craft, small fast ships designed to overwhelm our defenses." Jack straightened in his chair. "Looks like they're not giving us a choice. Battle stations, everyone." On the Coalition command ship, now joined by 3 massive warships, Commander Tark addressed his fellow officers via holographic conference. "The human vessel must be disabled and captured," he insisted. "Its technology cannot be allowed to reach Earth." Fleet Admiral Dawes, a tall figure with golden scales and 6 arms, each holding a different datapad, looked skeptical. "Your reports claim this single small ship has weapons capable of reality manipulation. Is this accurate?" "Yes, Admiral," Tark confirmed. "Our scientists believe they are using contained singularity technology, combined with quantum field distortion." "Impossible," snapped General Krex, a bulky creature with armor-like skin. "No civilization at humanity's development level could create such technology." Military Advisor Wren stepped forward. "With respect, General, the evidence suggests otherwise. We should approach with extreme caution." Admiral Dawes raised 2 of his hands for silence. "Regardless of how they acquired this technology, it poses a clear threat to Coalition security. We will proceed with the attack. Launch all fighters and prepare the main fleet to engage." Wren's expression remained troubled. "Admiral, if I may, what if this ship is not unique? What if Earth has produced more vessels like it?" The question hung in the air, creating a moment of uncomfortable silence. "All the more reason to capture this one," Admiral Dawes finally replied. "We need to know what we're facing." The Defiance shuddered as the first wave of Coalition fighters appeared on their sensors. 36 attack craft incoming, Max announced. "Energy weapons charging." Evasive maneuvers, Jack ordered. Defensive systems only. Don't fire unless fired upon. The human ship twisted through space, its quantum drive allowing it to move in ways that defied normal physics. But the Coalition fighters were numerous and determined. The first volley of enemy fire struck the Defiance's shields, causing the bridge lights to flicker. Shield integrity at 92%, Tom reported. They're testing our defenses. Jack leaned forward, in his chair. We can't outrun them all. Target the lead fighters with particle cannons. Minimal power, warning shots only. The Defiance's weapons came to life, firing bright pulses that deliberately missed the Coalition fighters by narrow margins. The message was clear. We can hit you if we choose to. They're not backing off, Anna said, monitoring the enemy communications. They're coordinating for another attack run. The second volley hit harder, striking from multiple angles simultaneously. Shields at 78%, Tom called out, his voice tense. They've identified our weakest shield harmonics already. Jack's expression hardened. So much for diplomacy. Max, you're clear to engage. Defend this ship. Max nodded grimly. Targeting systems locked. Firing main particle cannons. Brilliant beams of energy lanced out from the Defiance, striking 3 Coalition fighters. Instead of exploding, the ships simply unraveled, their molecular structure coming apart in spiraling patterns. On the Coalition command ship, Admiral Dawes watched in stunned silence as the fighters disintegrated. What happened to them? He demanded. Science Officer Keth studied the readings with growing horror. The human weapon, it didn't destroy them with energy. It selectively altered the quantum states of their atomic bonds. They literally fell apart at the molecular level. General Krex slammed his fist on the table. Impossible. No species should have this level of technology. Admiral Dawes's golden scales darkened with anger. Deploy the main fleet, all ships, all weapons, destroy that vessel. The space around the Defiance suddenly filled with the massive forms of Coalition warships, their weapons ports glowing with gathered energy. We're surrounded, Lisa said quietly, looking up from her medical station. Options? Jack asked, his voice steady despite the dire situation. Ben looked up from his science station. The jump point is still too far. We'll never make it through. This blockade using conventional methods. And unconventional methods? Jack asked. Tom and Ben exchanged glances. There is one possibility, Ben said hesitantly. We could create a temporary reality bubble around the ship. In plain English, please, Jack prompted. We briefly remove ourselves from normal spacetime, Tom explained. Essentially, we would exist slightly out of phase with the rest of the universe. Just enough to pass through their blockade without interacting with their ships. The risks? Jack asked. Tom grimaced. Too many to list, Captain. This was a purely theoretical application of the quantum drive. We could end up anywhere, or nowhere. Jack looked around at his crew, these people who had given decades of their lives to this mission. Your thoughts? Lisa spoke first. Earth needs to know what we've discovered about Coalition technology. I say we risk it. Max nodded in agreement. Better than surrendering technology that could protect our home. One by one, each crew member voiced their support for the desperate plan. Very well, Jack said, turning to Tom. Make the necessary preparations. As Tom worked frantically at his station, the Coalition fleet opened fire. The Defiance's shields flared brilliantly under the combined assault. Shields failing, Max reported. Down to 31% and dropping fast. Tom, Jack called out. Need 30. More seconds. The ship rocked violently as a particularly powerful blast struck near the bridge. Hull breach on deck 3, Lisa reported. Emergency force fields engaged. 15 seconds, Tom shouted over the noise of alarms. On the Coalition command ship, Admiral Dawes watched in satisfaction as the human vessel seemed to falter under their combined firepower. Their shields are collapsing, he announced. Prepare boarding teams. But then, something unexpected happened. The Defiance began to glow with an intense blue light that grew brighter by the second. Energy surge detected. Science Officer Keth called out, "Off the charts!" "What are they doing?" Admiral Dawes demanded. Before anyone could answer, the blue glow around the Defiance intensified to blinding brightness. When it faded, the human ship was simply gone. "Where did they go?" General Krex bellowed. "Find them." But all their sensors showed was empty space where the Defiance had been. Military Advisor Wren studied the readings carefully. "They're not destroyed. There's no debris, no energy dispersal pattern." "Then where are they?" Admiral Dawes asked, his voice suddenly quiet with dread. Wren looked up, her 6 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of deep thought in her species. "They've done something we believed impossible. They've temporarily stepped outside of our reality The Coalition fleet searched in vain for the vanished human ship. The leaders began to realize a terrifying truth. They had drastically underestimated humanity's capabilities. And somewhere out there, the Defiance was carrying that message back to Earth. The ancient ship they had scoffed at was proving to be far more dangerous than they could have imagined. The Defiance materialized in empty space, the blue glow of its quantum field slowly fading. On the bridge, emergency lights cast red shadows across the faces of the crew. Warning alarms blared from several stations. Captain Jack pulled himself up from the floor where the violent transition had thrown him. "Status report. Is everyone all right?" The crew responded one by one, shaken but alive. Tom was the last to report, his face pale as he examined his console. "Quantum drive is offline, Captain," he announced grimly. "The reality shift burned out. Most of its systems." "Where are we?" Jack asked, turning to Ben. The science officer adjusted his cracked glasses, studying the star patterns on his screen. "Approximately 3 light years from our previous position. We're on the edge of Coalition territory." "And the Coalition fleet?" "No sign of pursuit," Max confirmed, checking the defensive systems. "But our shields are at 12%. We're in no condition for another fight." Jack nodded slowly, taking in their situation. They had escaped, but at a cost. The Defiance was damaged, stranded in hostile space with technology too valuable to let fall into enemy hands. "Anna, any communications from Coalition frequencies?" The communications specialist listened intently through her headset. "They're in chaos, Captain. From what I can gather, they're still searching for us near their fleet position. They don't know we jumped." "That gives us time," Jack said. "Tom, what about conventional engines?" "Functional, but at 40% capacity. We can move, but not quickly." Jack considered their options. "Can we reach the jump point from here?" Tom shook his head. "Not on engines alone. We'd need the quantum drive for that final push." "How long to repair it?" Tom exchanged glances with Ben. "Days, maybe weeks, and we'd need specific materials we don't have on board." Jack frowned. The situation was dire, but not hopeless. 27 years of cryo-sleep had prepared him to think long-term. "New plan," he announced. "We find somewhere to hide and make repairs. There must be an uninhabited system nearby we can use." Ben studied his star charts. "There's a binary system 2 days away at our current speed. Dense asteroid field. Good place to hide while we work." "Set course," Jack ordered. "Lisa, how are our supplies?" The medical officer checked her inventory. "Medical supplies are adequate. Food and water recycling systems are functioning normally. We can sustain the crew for months if necessary." Jack nodded. "Good. Because I have a feeling this isn't over yet." In the Coalition Command Center, chaos reigned. Admiral Dawes faced the assembled leadership, their faces displaying various states of shock and anger. "How could a single human vessel escape our entire fleet?" the Supreme Chancellor demanded, his translucent body pulsing with angry red light. Admiral Dawes had no good answer. The technology they employed was unexpected. "Unexpected?" General Krex growled. "It was impossible. No species should be able to manipulate reality itself." Science Officer Keth cleared his throat nervously. "Based on the energy readings we collected, they created a temporary bubble of altered space-time around their vessel. Essentially, they stepped slightly outside our universe." "Can they do it again?" the Chancellor asked. Unknown, Keth admitted. The energy requirements would be enormous. Their ship showed signs of severe strain before they disappeared. Military advisor Wren, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward. The real question we should be asking is, what does this mean for our understanding of human capabilities? The room fell quiet as her words sank in. Explain, the Chancellor commanded. We have always assumed humans were technologically inferior, Wren continued. Yet this single ship demonstrated technology beyond our theoretical understanding. If Earth has more vessels like the Defiance, she didn't need to finish. The implication was clear. We must find that ship, the Chancellor declared, and we must reassess our approach to Earth immediately. 2 days later, the Defiance drifted slowly into the asteroid field of the binary system. Tom guided the ship carefully, using minimal power to avoid detection. This large asteroid should provide good cover, he said, pointing to a rock formation, nearly 10 times the size of their ship. Its mineral composition will help mask our energy signature. Jack nodded. Take us in. As they maneuvered into position, Anna suddenly straightened at her station. Captain, I'm detecting a transmission, coalition frequency, but it's directed at us specifically. Jack frowned. How is that possible? They couldn't have tracked us here. Unknown, sir, Anna replied. But the transmission includes our ship's identification code. They're asking to establish communication. Jack looked at his crew, seeing his own concerns reflected on their faces. Could be a trap, Max warned, or an opportunity, Ben countered. After a moment's thought, Jack nodded. Put it through, audio only. Let's hear what they have to say. The bridge speakers crackled to life and a familiar voice filled the room. Defiance, this is military advisor Wren of the Coalition. I am alone on a diplomatic vessel. I wish to speak with Captain Jack. Jack raised an eyebrow. How did you find us? Your quantum shift left traces, Wren replied. Subtle distortions in space-time that our standard sensors cannot detect. But I have specialized equipment. What do you want? To talk. Peacefully. Your demonstration has created quite a stir in coalition leadership. I believe there is an opportunity here. For both our peoples. Jack muted the transmission and turned to his crew. Opinions? Could be genuine, Ben suggested. She was the one who warned them about us from the beginning. Or it could be a ploy to locate our exact position, Max countered. Jack considered. Both possibilities. After 27 years in cryosleep, the political landscape had surely changed. Perhaps this was a chance to understand those changes. We'll hear her out, he decided, unmuting the channel. Advisor Wren, we will permit your vessel to approach. Any weapon systems will remain powered down. Any deviation from your current course will be considered hostile action. Understood, Captain, Wren replied. My vessel is unarmed, approaching now. They watched as a small, sleek ship emerged from behind a distant asteroid. It moved slowly, making no aggressive maneuvers. She's alone, Ben confirmed, scanning the approaching vessel. One life sign, no weapons detected. Jack nodded. Prepare the conference room, let's hear what she has to say. An hour later, military advisor Wren sat across from Captain Jack and his senior officers. Her rock-like skin caught the light as she placed a data crystal on the table between them. This contains all the information the Coalition has on Earth, she said simply, including plans that were not meant for human knowledge. Jack didn't touch the crystal. Why are you giving us this? Wren's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. Because the Coalition made a mistake with humans. A mistake I tried to prevent. What mistake? Lisa asked. Underestimation, Wren replied. The Coalition saw Earth as a primitive world barely worth notice. Your ship proved otherwise. Jack leaned forward. And now? Now there is fear, Wren said bluntly. Your quantum technology surpasses our theoretical understanding. The Coalition leaders fear what else humans might have developed. They should, Max muttered. Wren nodded. Perhaps. But fear leads to poor decisions. Already there are calls to launch a preemptive strike against Earth. The human officers exchanged alarmed glances. That would be a grave mistake, Jack warned. Agree, Ren said, which is why I am here. I propose an alliance, not between our governments, but between those who seek peace. She gestured to the crystal. This contains navigation data to help you return to Earth safely. In exchange, I ask only that you advocate for diplomatic solutions when you return. Jack studied the alien carefully. Why are you doing this, advisor? Isn't this treason against your people? Ren's expression shifted slightly, the equivalent of a sad smile in her species. I have served the Coalition for 200 years, Captain. I have seen empires rise and fall. Those that cannot adapt to new realities do not survive long. She stood slowly. The Coalition needs to evolve its thinking. Humans are not to be dismissed or feared, but understood and respected. Your ship has opened that possibility. Jack considered her words. After a moment, he picked up the crystal. We'll bring your message to Earth, but I make no promises about what happens after that. Ren nodded. That is all I ask. She moved toward the door, then paused. One last thing, Captain, the Defiance. Is it truly your most advanced vessel? Jack smiled slightly. What do you think? Ren's eyes blinked in sequence again. I think that if the Coalition had encountered your most advanced technology, we would not be having this conversation. With that, she left, returning to her ship and departing as quietly as she had arrived. 3 weeks later, the repaired Defiance approached Earth space. Thanks to Ren's navigation data, they had avoided Coalition patrols entirely. As the blue-green planet appeared on their view screen, the crew fell silent, overcome with emotion. For them, only months had passed subjectively, but the world they were returning to had experienced 27 years of history without them. Hailing frequencies open, Anna announced. Earth Defense Command is responding. They're shocked to hear from us, Captain. We were declared lost decades ago. Jack smiled. Tell them the Defiance is coming home, and we have quite a story to tell. As Earth grew larger in their view screen, Jack thought about the message they carried, not just about Coalition technology and politics, but about perception and underestimation. The ancient ship that alien leaders had scoffed at had changed the course of interstellar relations forever. Sometimes, the most dangerous things in the universe were those you failed to take seriously until it was too late.